but you. We live, sis. All right, Black Box Radio. We're in the box. Listen, I am with my partner, my friend, my ear, my spiritual advisor, my head right, all that, y'all, all that. So today is our last. I'm with humble hearts and grateful minds. This is our last part of our series, the third part of Healing August, accessing the ancestors. So, first, I'm going to introduce myself. Then I'm going to get into all of that. But I just feel so heavy that this is over. It's been such a pleasure to be in space. First of all, with a powerful Black woman, and with someone who I really trust and who's really inspired me. So I'm so blessed to have you, E. I just want to say that at the top of the show that there's a lot of love over here for you. And
I say mutual queen.
And
Definitely.
we really appreciate your genius. We don't get to nurture and definitely connect and tell people what they mean in our lives and what they're doing for our community. And so I hope folks would access you after this and that they would definitely look with accessing the ancestors, do some real introspective work, live in their power. And if you need help with that, please connect with Keturah. I'm telling you, she's dope, yo. Real dope. So that's on the top. So let me tell you who I am. I'm Queen from Black Box Radio. I'm a host here, and we are a media platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and we disseminate information to all communities, but also the Black community. That is first and foremost because we Black people. We are Africans in the diaspora, and we are Black people, and we are going to give Black people information all day, every day.
Ashe.
And on top of that, we humanize the Black experience. I think a lot of times the experience of Black people has been co-opted. It has been maligned. People want to tell half of it because they don't want to sow their hands in the oppression of it. And so a lot of times we have been victimized in our own story because we don't tell our own stories. So this is what this platform does. We tell Black stories from regular people. We're not trying to be celebrities. We're trying to be cerebral in our living and be better people.
Ashe.
That's what we are. So we started a series this month. August is relative to the Black experience when it comes to Black August and celebrating freedom fighters. We did that for years in the U.S. That's kind of went away because more or less we think we free. We don't need no freedom fighters, yo, because we can go and get Gucci. And we can walk in the Gucci store and we can wear Louis, so we don't need no freedom fighters right now. So we really don't venerate Black August like we used to in our freedom fighters that have passed on, who are now ancestors. How about that? And the same things that we're doing. So I thought it was so appropriate for this to be Healing August. We as Black people have to heal. We have to go after the trauma. Trauma begets trauma. You can put 2 steps forward and you're going to choose trauma because trauma only likes trauma. So you got to get rid of it. You got to heal it. You got to go after it. So what was the first part we talked about, Ia? The first part.
We talked about the who we're being, that we're taking to the spiritual work and practice that we want to engage in. Who are we being inside of the practice?
And what's the word about with that? Are you living in what?
Are you living in your power? Or are you going with the standard conditioning of us here in the diaspora, which is to be a slave whilst you do whatever it is that you do, while you are going after whatever path you choose? Are you being a slave or are you being in your power? Because we're clear that it doesn't matter what path you choose. You could still practice it like a slave.
Whoa.
And unless you do the introspective work to undo what was done, that's all you'll do because that's all you know. You have to re-educate yourself, but you have to first root out what is going to constantly be contending with the new truth that you're studying.
Yes.
Because You'll constantly be in doubt. You'll constantly be questioning. You'll be going to new things, learning to new things, engaging new people, but you will have this background nagging self-hatred, self-talk, internal struggle about whether or not you doing right, whether or not you have the right to do what you're doing, whether or not you can really take on anything new, or if you taking on something new means you have to throw away everything that you were given before, which is going to get you to hell. You gotta dig deep. That conditioning runs deep. I had to deal with it, and everybody that I know in diasporic, African traditions, has had to deal with it. We have to deal with that first.
That's first. So that was the first part two, and that's on YouTube, part 1, and that was who you are being. We live in the city, yo. This is city. That's city noise. So who you're being and what you're showing up, and you can choose any practice, Christianity, Islam, anything you want to practice. But the process is, who are you showing up as
in that practice?
In that practice, are you showing up in power? Are you showing up with a slave mentality? We're not talking about chains behind your back, can't do stuff. I'm talking about the mentality of your mindset, that you give your power away. So please go and view that on YouTube at our YouTube channel, BLaKBoXXRadio. But we did a number 2 last Tuesday. So what was that? Give us a brief synopsis of that, Ia.
Part 2 was accessing your spiritual resources as a spiritual being inside of a human body. The whole point of that was, you can have all of your relationships, no matter what kind. All the relationships you have are spiritual relationships. Why? Because spirits are what animate these bodies that we identify with. So whether it's your home girl or your boyfriend or your mom or your daddy or your children, these are all spiritual relationships because it's spirit to spirit. We get very attached and identify with the dynamic that we share in the body, which is what we grieve the most when our loved ones go on, when they transition out of their body and onto their next plane. Okay, that's what we grieve. We grieve the loss of our loved ones, of the dynamic of our loved ones in physical forms. We can't hug them and kiss them and eat with them and, party with them and so on. But one of the ways that we can begin to heal from the profound grief that we suffer from as Black people, in all the ways that we traumatic and difficult ways that we do transition here, is to understand that beyond the body, our relationships can be maintained. The dynamic of the relationship changes because you are no longer engaging with the body directly.
Okay.
But the relationship, if you're willing, can still be cultivated and can still continue. But there's some certain things that you're going to have to shift in terms of your thinking so that you can allow for this beautiful relationship to continue with your loved ones after they leave their body. Can you dig that?
That's something to dig. Because, but again, that's on YouTube. That's at BLaKBoXXRadio. Please, that's part 2. And today, we're at part 3, the final part of this series. And before we say what that's going to be, I want you to tell the people who you are and how, because we get so into stuff at the end, you don't even tell them how to get in touch with you. So who you are and how to get in touch with you. So when we get in and we go in, we can stay in.
That's true.
Yeah.
We both guilty of that. Well, my name is Keturah, and I was born and raised here in the diaspora, Queens, New York. Holla at your girl. But I have traveled and lived in many places on the East Coast, in this country and around the world, traveled, many places to study our traditions and all its iterations in all places where it is practiced, so that I can have a better understanding of how to serve people in my community with whatever they come to me with, so I can understand their experience and their language around their spiritual lives, and anything that they need me for, I can make a connection with them from where they are. So I live here now in Baltimore City. I have a shrine house here. I live in my shrine house. So I'm a priest full time, not on the side on the weekend. I ain't mad at the side on the weekend, but that ain't me. I'm full time all the time. People call me 24/7. So it is my life as well as my living. And I am not alone. I have initiated and or trained several priests that work with me here at the ELA, and we are all collectively here to serve you. If you want to reach us and get to know us individually, we have a podcast on Anchor called, well, you can get on Spotify and any other podcast place, but our podcast is called Stay in Power People. Stay in Power People. That's what it's called. So check us out. There's an Ia offering what Spirit has given her as a message that day, each day, Monday through Friday. We don't do Saturday and Sunday, Monday through Friday. You want to check us out and learn each Ia. We each have a day. My day is Manifestation Monday, but there's other Ias throughout the week that you can get with so you can learn. And then if you want to interact with us more intimately, you can join our Stay in Power People group on Facebook. There's a group for men, just men, and there's a group for women alone, so that we can address separate needs, the needs of our community in their own, with their own group. You know what I mean? And you're welcome to do that. And finally, we have in that group, if you do join, you'll be able to not only get the link for the podcast every day, but you'll be able to talk to us in the evening about that podcast in a live chat if you have any questions. So inside of the Facebook group, we give people an opportunity to not only listen to the podcast, but to talk to us about it. Because each podcast is a Spirit-led message brought to one of our ears or our elder. Our elder isn't initiated, but we give her elder wisdom Wednesday. So you can talk to our elder on Wednesday or one of the ears. And in that, whatever Spirit tells us, if you have a question about that, you can talk to us at the end of the day. 9 o'clock around 9 o'clock is when we usually do our podcast chats. Lots of ways to get with us. Every Sunday we have a ritual in the park until it gets cold, and then we'll do it online. But there are ways to reach us without just, shelling out the dough right away. But at that point, when you're comfortable with us, you learn us, you know who you want to deal with, how we all go, how we do, because we're very, very different. I have some sweetheart cutie pie ears, some, witchy ears, some, rub your back ears, and I got, and you got me. You all know how I go, so I ain't none of that.
Hard. She gonna come hard.
So there's a flavor for everybody, no matter what your disposition is, what your vibe is, what you want to deal with, work with, and we all support each other. So you will see us all, even if you just pick one to work with. And so we invite you to do that. Oh, our website is stayinpowerpeople.org. A hyphen in between each word, but stayinpowerpeople.org. You'll get all the information about us and all the things, pictures and all that on there. So I'm just so happy because I've been a priest for 22 years and now I got a whole posse. I got a whole priest posse. So I'm cooking with gas now. I ain't got to do all this. It's not sustainable to do all by yourself. You burn out.
And how long did it take you to cultivate your peoples?
I would say a good 3 to 5 years. The range now is 3 to 7 years that they've been with me. So it takes time to, first of all, realize that you are not in your power and that you need to get in it. That takes a minute. Then it takes something to accept completely what being in your power looks like, feels like, lives like, and how people respond to you while you're in it. That takes something. And then learning how to honor all of the people that came before you in the new practice that you want to take on. That takes something, because you want to draw strength from your ancestors, and all your ancestors didn't do what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you still have to honor them, because they are the ones that you draw strength and power from to even get to the point of choosing what you want to do. Give thanks. You have the choice now. Because at one point you didn't have the choice. You did this. You was going to be burned at the stake, or you was going to go to jail or killed.
Yeah.
So we honor our ancestors and all the traditions that made them who they are as elevated ancestors, so that we could draw strength and power from them. That takes some learning. And then mastering the layman practice from there is really about cultivating a relationship with your ancestors, so that they can help you and partner you in mastering a life of living in full power. Not everybody's path is to become a priest, but we have a very rich layman practice at our Elay, where many people are just like, oh, I'm good right here. Layman, I got everything I need right here. But some people are called to ministry, and they become priests, and enter into another level of spiritual work and practice. But it is all built on our ancestral relationships and practice to venerate them. It starts there, whether you're a layman or a priest. And that's in every tradition, and that's lifelong. We all start there. And that's a good common point for us to cultivate our work together on, because we all share that. No matter what level of the practice we have committed to that aligns with our destiny, we share that together.
Okay.
So we call each other, we are allies in my house, in my spiritual house. I am the eldest. I've been the priest the longest. I'm a 22-year veteran. But I refer to all of the people that I've trained, or my laymen, as allies in spiritual work and practice. I do not refer to them as godchildren. There's nothing wrong with that. That dynamic doesn't serve me for the mission that I'm on, to redirect people to their personal power. It's a better service to us as a community for me to refer to them as their allies, because it calls them to their right place with me. So that people that I can count on, not people that are waiting for me to fix them. So with spirits, support, and counsel, created a dynamic that would work for allyship, for support and genuine partnership in the work, instead of me having to just do all the things because they got their hands up like I can't do nothing unless I ask E or whatever. Something. We don't do that here. Not here. Okay. So it took some time to get them there. You know what I mean?
So get them there. So confident and people. And I want to say something about confidence. Confidence is a powerful piece. You know, that's one of the things that, when people see a lot of confidence, sometimes they get a little scared of it, or they get intimidated, because confidence is power. And they try to make it negative. And they say, oh, you're arrogant. And they make all these things. When you're powerful and you love yourself and you're great in your skin, that's negative. But listen, we need confidence, because when you lack confidence, you're lacking power. So I mean that's just it. You have to have
cutting yourself off from the power that you should be using. Cutting yourself off, because it's there, but how can you access it?
It's absolutely there. So what we talking about? This is the last part. This is the home run series. We on part 3. What we getting in tonight?
Let's talk about what your life is going to look like. How is it going to change if you decide to do all this African stuff?
That's what they said, that African stuff.
If you're going to do all this spirit stuff, African stuff, what's it going to do? What's it going to do to your life?
How's it going to be? What it going to look like?
How is it going to be?
Yeah.
If you decide to live a life in full power, so that you can really be in your right place while practicing, what's that going to do? How's that going to affect your relationships? Your family relationships, your personal relationships. Are you going to start looking weird and acting weird? People not want to deal with you? You know what I mean? Yeah. People have real look, let me just say this. People talk about wanting to be free and be empowered, or they're powerful and all of that. But look, these things cost something.
Woo!
Freedom costs.
It costs something.
Oh, power costs. Now, I would argue it, because I'm willing to debate. I'm going to be in a debate about it, that you only have a choice to be in your power, to be living in your power, or choosing not to live in your power, right? There's no middle. So when people ask me, well, what's it going right? You know, what am I gonna do? You know, how's things gonna be if I start living in power? You know, what you training with you and all that. I say, well, how about we answer this question first? How about we answer, how's your life been not in it?
Oops. Let me sit back.
You all trying to figure out how your life is going to change, but you came here because you needed a change. Otherwise, you wouldn't have darkened my doorstep. What you coming here for?
Because you good. You should be good, right?
You should be good. But people start, you start talking. People like, ugh, that sound like a lot. I don't know. What's it gonna do? How it gonna be? And I understand. Honestly, I understand, because it does take something. So I'm real with people, and I say, let's talk about what your life has been with you not in your power, because you haven't been in your power. You know that. So how has that been for you? Well, usually the answer is that they're unsatisfied with the results. Okay, so I say, so the decision to live in your power starts with an acknowledgement that there isn't another place that's going to be better for you to be. So it's because only two places. You want to live in your power or you don't. You haven't been.
So there's no in between. It's no.
No. Because let's say you're practicing living your life in full power. There'll be days and times and moments where you can tell that you're not in it. So you apply the practices to get back in it. You're on it. You know what I mean? So what I'm calling one or the other is the decision to live in it and really fight for it and apply the practices when you feel like you're slipping, or you notice it and you're like, well, you know what I mean? You know, this is how it is. I got to go along to get along. I don't want to make no waves. See that?
That's a problem.
That's a problem. As far as I'm concerned, as far as living in your power is concerned. So I tell people, make a decision that you have to make a decision that living in your power is something you're gonna do, because you can't rationalize not being in your power a better place for you to be in any iteration at all, especially not no African born in the diaspora. Now, I don't want to have to make that case here, because that's going to be a whole nother show. But I shouldn't be having to argue with no Black person born in the United States that your best place is to be in your power, not in your life that's not in power. Okay. So once we establish that means that all the questions you have about what's going to happen, what about my relationship, what are all of that, you should, every time you feel that way, because you're going to feel that angst, you want to settle it and say, you know what? Deep breath. No matter what the cost is, I'm willing to pay it. Because if I'm not willing to pay the cost from being in power, I'm going to continue paying the cost I've already been paying while I haven't been in my power. That's the first conversation. So I'm telling you right off the rip, the break, we got to do that.
But yeah, let me, download. You know how we still download. So I download that. But, one would say, and me also, because me wanting to do the work, I want to be powerful. I want to live in my power. So with that, one would say, well, there's a lot of trappings. We got these jobs. We got this mortgage. You got our families, our children. Want our kids to look nice. Want our kids to go to the best schools. There, like you said, there's a cost. There's a cost to being in power, and there's a cost to giving up the power. There's cost either way, right?
You have to decide which cost you're willing to pay.
Ooh.
Because you already know you're going to pay.
Yes.
And some people would prefer comfort in their enslavement instead of freedom.
Yeah, some people would prefer to be able to be access and have the big job and give their power away every day. And
I'm not making that wrong. I'm just saying you got to be clear, because where people suffer is in halfway in and halfway mad about being in. And that's the place that's not in your power. Okay.
Yes.
So choose all the things you're going to choose. You can be at your Fortune 500 job and be in your power, because that is a part of your very strategic plan to get you into where you want to go. But this is how you know that you're slipping out of your power, choosing a life like that. You constantly complaining about how you ain't never got no time for yourself. You go into the plantation. You can't stand your boss. I hate the people I'm working with. I don't ever get a chance to enjoy my house.
If you want to be off, you got to ask permission. You cannot take no self-care unless you get permission. No vacation.
Living in your power means you're not lying to yourself.
Yeah, somebody
not playing yourself.
Yeah, you got to ask. Can I go take care of them? I take care of your mother. That's not powerful.
It's not powerful for you to be complaining. If you're like, yes, this is my job. I love the fact that I'm working this job. I love my job. I love the time. I'm for it. I'm spending 8 hours of my life. I'm spending my life, 8 hours of my life on this job every day.
I love it.
I'm doing it because I know why I'm here. I'm not unaware. I wanted this job. I got my degree. I got it. There was 100,000 candidates. I got it. I got my bonus. I'm Gucci. I'm good.
I'm making them 6 figures. I'm stacking. I'm good.
I met an African man from Sierra Leone who was in the army for 10 years. And I was like, brother. And he told me a story about his choosing to be in the military that made me say, you know what? I don't got nothing. Zippity zip. You're clear. There was benefit. You knew that what you were going into. You were willing to pay the cost for the benefits that you were coming out with. Done.
That is an African thing now. That when they come to this country, they go into service.
You know why? You know why he told me he went? He said, because I didn't see any other system in this country that would help me be the man I want to be. So I decided to get into the military because at least I could get out of my mother's house, not be a burden to her, and be a man on my own. Now, I have some philosophical differences with him in terms of his definition for manhood and all of that. But I had to respect that his
mindset, that is where it's going to get him where he wants to be.
He said,
that's a plan.
Out of my mother's house.
Yep.
Pay my own way. Be on my own terms and not have,
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, I pay. I'm clear about, being America's property and them calling me and we got to go. I was like, yo, you're not unclear. You're not telling me, fairy tale. So I'm saying that to say that it's not just the life that you're choosing, but it's you being in conflict about it. That got you acting in your enslaved mentality.
Yes.
I am not saying that you got to go off grid and wear African clothes and stop perming your hair and all that so that you can be in your power. No, I'm saying if you're complaining about the life that you're choosing every day, you got a problem.
That's right. And if you hear coming out from the perms, then you need to think about it.
We make all kinds of decisions, but if we're in it, exactly. we are too comfortable with being halfway in and halfway out.
Yes.
And that's what's got us messed up about being in our power, because we think that being in our power means we have to be poor. We have to stop buying into the system and all that. Now, that's my version of power. I don't want nothing to do or as little to do as possible with the systems that could give me comfort and convenience. That's me. That's personal for me. I don't preach people to do that. I don't tell people to do that. I said, be self-reliant. Be self-reliant. Whatever, however you need to be that, whatever you configure that equals that, do that. You know why? Because when you're self-reliant, you ain't complaining. You're not complaining about anything, what you got to do to be self-reliant, and the people you have to engage or people that you depend on to assist you in your self-reliance practice. You're not complaining because you're clear you're paying the cost for what you want. Being in your power means you choose actively, clearly, and you don't have this background, conversation about, I hate this, I can't stand this. You are miserable in the life that you're choosing every single day. And yes, let's just be clear. You are choosing it. Nobody is chaining you to your car, your house. You don't like your house, move. You don't like the car, sell it. You don't like your job, quit. Stop complaining, because that got you acting like a slave instead of being in your power. So if you got to throw those things away to be in your power, I ain't say be that drastic. I'm for revolution. I'm for big change. But you ain't got to do all of that. What you have to do is stop being in conflict with yourself and stop complaining about the things you choosing every day. You're not stuck in no marriage. No, you're not.
Download.
Let me tell you.
Here. Download. Wait a minute.
You ain't stuck. No, you're not.
Great like this. You're saying that you're making a choice to go to work, to a job that you don't like. You're making a choice to stay in a marriage that depreciates you. You're making a choice to go around people who don't care about you. That's you.
And you feel a way about it. Knowing that you feeling a way about it.
Knowing that and then you're going to complain about it. And when you complain, you are not living in power. Because people who choose greatness for themselves have no complaints.
They're not complaining. Ow! I live off grid. I'm not complaining about living off grid. It's hard work, but I don't complain. I'm like, because when I have a bad day, when I'm feeling away, because in the wintertime, winter is my hardest time. I look in the mirror. I have lots of mirrors in my house. You see them. I go like this. You tired? You ain't got to do this. Go call BG&E and tell them to come put the gas electric back on. Stop playing. Either we doing this or we not. Now that's what I tell myself.
Y'all listen to her. This is a revolutionary right here. Y'all ain't doing none of what she doing. I know about her. Y'all don't know about this lady right here. She's special, man. Off grid.
And I'm not saying you gotta do it
in B City. Off grid, yo.
City. And I'm not saying you gotta do it, but this is the only way for me to live. I'm hard-headed, right? This is the only way for me to live where I can wake up every day and not feel stupid. Because I was feeling like real in conflict with myself. And this is the way I have to live to honor me living in power. I didn't say everybody got to do it. But if I wasn't doing this, I'd be like looking at myself sideways every day. Like, what are we doing? You got to go to work. Why? Because you got to pay that bill. Why are we still doing this? Like, why?
You got rid of the bill.
I got rid of the bill. I'm like, you got a problem with the bill? Get rid of it.
Ooh,
you got a problem with the job? Quit. I was working full-time as a teacher before I decided to be a priest full-time. I was like, I can't stand my job. I heard Spirit like, excuse me? What you say? You don't like working? You don't like working that job? All right, quit. Be a priest full-time. Dedicate yourself to this 100 full-time. I was like, but what about the house? What I gotta pay? I gotta pay the mortgage. And I didn't hear nothing. I hear nothing. I heard crickets. Nothing. I went to work the next day and I was miserable. I was like, all right. So I'm talking about what I know. I'm not speaking from a soapbox. I'm talking about my own life, how I had to come to it. So I know the difference between feeling like you got to do and what you got to do. I say, you don't got to do nothing but stay black and die. Now, there are some changes I had to make to my comfort, my definition for comfort and the convenience. And at some point, you know what? I stopped even using those words because I was like, this is not comfortable and it's not convenient. This is not what my life is about. I want to be free, not comfortable and convenient. And I'm paying the cost every day for freedom, not for comfort and convenience. I'm paying the cost for freedom.
There's a cost for everything. There is.
So I'm just saying that's the first layer. Bang. That's the first layer, because the thing is, if you're still fighting you, then when you incorporate spirit into your life to help you with your life, you going to be debating and bucking and fighting every piece of counsel and wisdom you get. You heard me? I said you're going to be fighting spirit about everything they tell you to do to help your life be better. You're going to be praying, help me, guide me, help me to live my true destiny, my highest calling. I want to be in power. I want wealth and abundance and all that. You're going to be talking that. And then when they start telling you what you got to do to get that, you're going to start hemming and hawing because you haven't dealt with you being willing to be what you need to be to hear that counsel. Because, you know, when you're in your power, you're accessing your spiritual resources, because those are your, those resources are your power resources. That's where your source of power comes from. How are you going to be not out of your power, going to spirit, asking for power, and not be in conflict and debating all the time? I don't want people to be in conflict, which is why we have a whole nother layer of work that we do in conjunction and ongoing with the spiritual work. Deal with you, because when you ask, spirit, do you support me in this relationship? And they say, no, we don't support that. Do you support me in this job? No. Do you support me getting this house? No. Move. Then what you gonna say? You asking for support, or you asking to act on the wisdom you're being given?
Wait a minute. Down low. Wait a minute. Because I'm the voice of the people. Because this is it's a lot for if you've been giving your power away. Like we have jobs. You know what I'm saying? We flossing, we stunting out here. We got big cars. We doing big things.
We have standards.
We got standards. Like, I ain't living in no house that what? Power. I better hit that light switch.
Okay. But you know what? If you want to hit the light switch, right? Don't do me. What you want to do is own that there's a certain standard you want to keep. But you don't put yourself on the hook for finding a way to maintain that.
Yes.
While being in your power.
That's what I was saying. Is how can you maintain this stuff and be empowered too? So
I couldn't do it. That's why I took it down a couple notches.
You divorce yourself from the stuff, or you stay, or you don't live in power. And it's very hard because we live in a society where we're spoiled. We have water when we turn the water faucet on. We have light when we hit the button. We got fans on buttons. We got television.
And that's cool. But then what you asking spirit for? You bring your ancestors in your life, and you talk with all these lofty prayers. Oh, I want abundance and wealth. I want to be happy. I want to be my best self. I want a good partner. You talking. When they start telling you what needs to change in your life to make that happen,
you're like, whoa. I gotta leave my job. Whoa.
Because they're gonna say, well, you're not happy. They're like, well, and you be like, you be trying to negotiate as if they don't know that you're miserable. Well, you know what I'm saying? They're like,
my kids gotta go to Friends. What you talking about?
You can put you know what? You can put your child in Friends, but what you gonna do to make the kind of money you need to put your child in Friends? What are you gonna do? You have to. The thing is, like we say, cost, right? So you don't have to. I didn't want to. This is a perfect example. I did not want to come too far away from my standard, right? When I first started going off, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go off grid. I'm gonna do this freedom thing. That's right. That's me, right? That's me, big talking. The ignorant. I was a science educator for a long time, still ignorant to what this would take. So I did that. The first thing I did was buy smaller versions of all the appliances I had in the house.
You still had the appliance though. Sure.
Madness. But here's what I didn't calculate. Now that sounds like a good idea. I said, okay, I don't have a bigger fridge. I got a little thing. I got a little version of everything. Sounded real good, right? Everybody's like, okay. Yeah, what was wrong with that? Check this out. I didn't bother to find out how much wattage each of those appliances needed to be in operation. So here I got a generator. It's charging my phone. I'm doing the minimal things. I got solar power lights, but I got all these other appliances that now have to draw on my one little 1,500 watt generator. Boo. You're not running all those things 24/7 on your little 1500 watts. I got a rude awakening. I was like, what? So I had to give up the refrigerator, start eating a way that would not have me need to have a refrigerator. I had to stop using the stove. I bought a wood stove, put it in my house so that I could cook food.
Y'all don't know about this.
Changes. There was a lot of changes I had to make, but I made them little by little, realizing that the cost I would have to pay to maintain the standard that I had was too much of a cost, and I was unwilling to pay the cost. I didn't want to have to buy 6 solar power $1,500 watt generators in each corner of my house to act like I still had BG&E running. That was stupid. So I had to say goodbye to those things one at a time, so that one generator could help me live my life well throughout the month. Because that was freedom. It became a burden to try and keep up the standard with me being free.
So your freedom came with sacrifice.
It came with it was initially a sacrifice.
But it had a net feeling that you got from it, because you don't have no bills. You ain't got to wake up and say, oh, I got to get up and pay this bill, because you don't have any. So there's a price, but there's some grace in that. And that's the grace of it. Like, I wake up like, I better go to work.
And that's what I did. I couldn't do it anymore. It was making me miserable. It was affecting my health, was affecting my sanity, was affecting my peace. And I got so exhausted of it that I said, I can't do this anymore. And Spirit was like, is that right? Because you ain't got to. We didn't tell you to do that. When did we tell you to live this way? We didn't tell you to do that. You chose that. If you want to choose something else, let's go. So
it's all about choice.
Choice. So you live in your power. And then once you make this decision that you want to incorporate Spirit in your life to assist you in that life.
Yeah. Then
you are more open, more willing to hear that you actually have to make changes, subtle changes, sometimes big changes. The things that you think that, are givens cease to be givens when you start working with Spirit, because they'll say, yeah, I know that you thought that was the way it should go, but
nope.
Actually, no.
Nope.
So you have to be willing to be what I call a scientist. You have to be a scientist. Scientists, no matter how long they've been working on a project, they have a process. Spiritual work has processes also, just like anything else. Scientists have a process. They believe something is true. They follow the process, and then they get the results they get, and then they make changes per the results they get. And that's how you have to be willing to approach a spiritual life in power. You want to work with your ancestors to help you actualize your true destiny and your highest calling? Awesome. Fantastic. They're here for it. They're no longer in the body, but they are still 100% here for you. You have the opportunity to continue to cultivate that relationship with Spirit if you want. You don't have to, but they're available to you for that. This is a relationship where you will always have the support that you need. You'll have an army waiting for you to access, but you'd have to give up your power in areas where you think you got it so that someone can actually share the load with you. That's true for the people that you got that's living.
Yes. Wow. So, that's tough. I mean, it's tough when you think about it, because our life is what we've chosen to live like this, and we live in a society that has all these all these extras, all of this stuff, and it's very hard to walk away from it, because you walk away from it, then you still got to do some work.
That's right.
So you rather stay in a space that you're comfortable in, but are you comfortable because you're complaining? You're not happy. Them people getting on your nerves, because I know they get on your. I work around in corporate, and you work around them people, they get on your nerves. Let's be clear, the rules get on your nerves. So are you willing to get away from your choice of stuff and the things that go with stuff to be free? Because when I called you, I said, yeah, my mantra is free in 23. I want to be free in 23. And you said, well, you got to do some work. You got to do some work, and you got to get away from the stuff that you think you need. And
yeah, you got to get your head right. You got to get your wig on right first, because
you got to adjust this right here. Because and that thing, and a lot of y'all get your hair done every 2 weeks, huh? Listen, you gonna have some, you see these things on top of my head, you're gonna learn what them is. Real talk. You're gonna get natural. Listen, you see your nails done, you see these nails, it's gonna be some sacrifices in this, but that's the cost of freedom.
It is. And you are, look, at every choice, you are in your power when you are looking at things like, you know what, I don't have to be here.
Nah.
But I can stay. Which do I want to choose? Because no matter what you choose, you're going to have to change your mind to do it. So if you choose to stay at the job that you say that you hate, fine. But you know what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to do the work to change your mind about it. If you say, nah, I can't do it, I ain't doing it. I got hypertension, I got high blood pressure, I can't, I'm leaving. Okay, but now you have to get your head right around what it's going to cost you to be free. And now you have to rob Peter to pay Paul for a minute, create businesses out of your talents and skills that the Most High gave you. You know what I mean? You're going to have to figure out a way to be useful to your community so that you can stop asking people to patronize you just because you're Black. You actually have to be of service, something that people need so that you don't have to beg people to pay for your services. I am a big proponent of entrepreneurship, but let me tell you where we go wrong. Let me just sidebar and tell you where we go wrong with entrepreneurship.
Because everybody want to open their own business right now. Everybody want to hustle. So talk about it.
I ain't mad. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. But you know why the only reason why I was successful is because I made myself useful. Not because I'm just so amazing and I'm going to be the 100th whatever business, we like to do on the street, and you should patronize me or else y'all don't support Black people. No.
Or Black Wall Street, which is a shallow thought that this Black Wall Street, come spend money. Black Wall Street was a system. They had everything.
This is what I know about us and money. We spend our money on things we want and need. That is the easiest formula to use if you're a Black entrepreneur and you want to work in your community. Make things, do things, provide a service that people want or need, and you will not go hungry. Now, are you going to buy, the 2022 Benz off the lot? Maybe not. But I decided to create a standard of living that my people could support me in. So that I could work for my people and be able to say that they're the ones that are taking care of me. Baltimore City took good care of me over the past 25 years. Every business I had was successful here. That's why when we did an ancestral ceremony this past weekend, we went to call out the ancestors from North Avenue and Greenmount Cemetery and invited them to North Avenue and Charles Street, Why Not Lot, to do a ceremony to uplift them and say thank you. Because I have flourished. I'm not from the city, I'm from New York. I have flourished in this city because the ancestors here have acknowledged me for what I'm doing and have allowed me to do exponentially well since in every business that I've ever had here. Now I'm saying that, but was I rich? Hell no. No. I made enough money to support the life that I chose because the life that I chose was a life that my people could support because I wanted to be able to say, I can live off of serving my people. Then when I became a priest, I said, I want to show people that I can be a full-time priest serving my people, and be taken care of. So I chose the life that would prove that to me because that was my standard, nobody else's.
So you chose that life. You didn't choose the Rolex and the Benz.
I did not. Because I knew that I wouldn't be able to maintain it. Yes. I'm a person that says you got to be able to own what you can deliver on. And I couldn't deliver on that.
Got it.
I was going to be in there stank because I have a degree in science. I could have worked in a lab and I've tried to work in a school as a teacher. And I was like, you know what? I'm way too hard-headed. I'm way too African up in here to be messing with y'all and, and acting like I don't care because I need a certain standard of living. Nah, I'm going to take it on down.
So you took it down and got away from the system, because we don't understand that we give up everything. I see some of us even hurt each other in systems so we can stay in place and make that money. We'll hurt each other. We'll set people up and not really hurt, not really like set them, but put them in a space where they cannot succeed, and willing to get rid of them.
Yeah. Because we think we got to do that based on the standard that we're going by.
Yeah.
If your standard is taking you away from your character, it's taking you away from your integrity, taking you away from your love of your people, taking you away from your freedom, what type of standards you got?
Download.
You talk about whose standards you talking about?
Woo-hoo. And that's what we gotta see. Like the standards the choices that you're making is keeping you away from your community, your family, your own integrity.
Your own children. The children you say you're going to work for, you know what? I say, you after doing all the work to get your children everything that they want, mind you, you gave them that standard because all they wanted was you. You decided to leave them, go out and make money to get them what they want. They didn't know about that stuff till you told them to want it. Do you have time for them, though? After your 6 jobs to get them the sneakers and everything else? Do you got time for your children? The children you love so much, which is why you're working like a slave. You got time?
Because them Jordans is important.
Because you know what? For real, we not working for all the people we say we working for. Because they never asked us to do all of that. You know what we working for? Our ego.
For who?
Ego.
Ego.
And your ego don't care nothing about you.
Blow the night up. Did you see all those sparkles behind me? You about to blow. Did you say
if you don't hear nothing else I say today? What's keeping you from your power is the enslavement. Let me tell you who. When I talk about slave mentality, let me tell you who you a slave to, because I want to make it clear that I'm not saying you a slave to no oppressor outside. That ain't the slavery I'm talking about. I'm saying you are a hook, line, and sinker slave to your ego and addicted to your body. This identity that you got as a human being does not serve you in your spiritual power here on this earth. No. Yes, you have to honor your body, because otherwise you can't do what you got to do as a spirit inside of it here. But you talking all that, what you got to do, that's all. You got to be able to discern between, is that your true self speaking? Is that your God self asking you for all of that? Or is it your ego who has taken on this standard and decided that that's the thing that makes you feel like you're something because you don't have anything else that you to identify with? Slave. I ain't talking about slavery to out there. Slavery to your ego. And I say again, your ego don't care nothing about you. You working for it. Don't care. That don't care nothing about you. You know how you know it don't care nothing about you? Because it got you out here doing all kinds of stuff that you don't love and that you're miserable about, but you can't let go of. That's how you know.
Download. So you're telling me you're a slave to your ego, which puts you out there to be a slave to them people and their jobs and their stuff.
Because ain't nobody chaining you to no office. Who making you? The ego is saying, if you don't do this, then you ain't nothing. You don't got no money. You can't go out for the females. You can't go check. Can't go out there. You ain't got no money. You ain't got no car. You ain't nothing without me. That's the ego monkey on your back. Nobody told you got to do that. Who is chaining you to your stuff? Your ego got you confused.
Got you strung out. Because everybody talking about crack and sugar and the pills and oxy and all of this, but that ego got us all strung out.
Ego enslavement. That's why the living in power work that we do, we got 7 stages of living a life in full power, the introspective process. 7 tools. I'm going to give y'all a cheat code and tell you what tool number 2 is. Keeping your ego in check and your emotions in order. You learn how to discern between the decisions that you're making that your ego is making, your false self, the imposter that pretends to be your true self, and your true self, your divine self. Because everybody has an ego as soon as they incarnate in this body. Because the ego go with the body. The ego don't go with just your spirit is not that.
So when the spirit leaves the body, it don't have an ego.
That ego madness done. As soon as it gets, because the ego helps us initially, right? Tell us, run from that bear. There's danger. Because you are about self-preservation, right? Instinct, primal, right?
Yes.
So we love the ego for its original purpose, right? Because you're a baby, you new in the world, you gotta, you don't know how to make decisions, so you just instinctively going out. Beautiful. But this is what happens with the ego. The ego gets drunk off of all that power before your spiritual self gets agency to lead your life. Your ego is like, I got this, and starts creating all kinds of things, making up stories about everything happening in your life that got you afraid of everything and everyone, and you still need me. I don't need you like that. If I'm out here in the wilderness and a bear trying to get me, yeah, I need you. Hook me up. But there ain't no bears around every corner. I don't have to let you lead everything, but your ego.
Ain't no bears on the job.
Ain't no bears on the job. Ego will have you out here thinking that you got to fear everything and on heightened alert status, especially if you got oppression in your history. Your ego, our collective ego madness is serious, but that's for another video. We talking about the individual ego for right now.
Yes, we are.
The individual ego situation has to be dealt with, or else every time you start to take a step forward, your ego will make you feel afraid and take 2 steps back into your place, enslaved by its agenda, for it to get all the validation that it wants. And it's not checking for your true self. It's not checking for your true destiny and how it's calling.
But most of us say we control our ego. Like I control.
You can control it.
Huh?
You can learn how to control it.
But initially it controls you.
It controls you. Initially you need it to help you survive.
Absolutely. But once it gets arrogant or so confident that it got you, then it got you out here going to these jobs you don't like, buying these cars you can't afford.
And that's the real conditioning. That's the real lifetime conditioning.
Yeah, stunting in these clothes you can't afford. And we're working to stay and have all of this stuff that our ego say we need, because you ain't nothing unless you have it. You ain't got no car, you trash.
That's right.
You don't have a house by 40, you trash.
When really your true self is like, how about we focus on fulfillment and self-reliance?
Ooh.
Because that got you in power. And then once you are self-reliant and once you are fulfilled, all of the abundance that people talking about manifesting is completely available to you, because your ego is not fighting the process to get you there.
Wow.
But if you don't know the difference between your egos, your identity as the ego, and your identity as your true self, you're going to go with the ego's agenda, because that's the one that's pressing you all day long until you get to recognize it and start checking it, getting your emotions in order, fear, doubt, nervousness, anxiety, all that, get that in order. And then
a lot of that is ego, this anxiety stuff we're going to. A lot of it is ego, because you're trying to be something really
ego-driven, definitely.
It's ego-driven. Wow.
Yes. That's why the tool is ego in check, emotions in order. Because your ego will drive you to be all up in your feelings, feeling all kind of way, feeling judged, feeling afraid, feeling some kind, all things, which has you confused and overwhelmed, and you just default to whatever the ego tells you to do. It is the biggest con man, con woman of all time. Nobody can oppress you worse than your ego, because our African people that were enslaved, they were like, this is not what we're doing. We're going to get free. And Ibaye, Harriet Tubman, she was able to get a lot of people to freedom, because they were like, this is not it. But she couldn't get everybody, because some people were like, nah, we're going to stay right here, because that sounds scary.
Yeah. That's work. When we got to give up this, and you know you oppressed here, but the ego said you better not do that
Better
because
not
you're
do
gonna
that.
die. But
You're
you're
gonna die.
dying anyway. Ooh.
We have to deal with. That's why being in power, whole introspective process. Got to deal with your ego. Got to deal with acceptance and yourself as a spiritual being and how you operate in here in this life. We dig deep because who we want to be in our spiritual practice is someone that's actually going to benefit from it. You don't need another thing to be enslaved by.
Yes.
Because if you offer up yourself as a slave to a practice, they'll treat you like one. Because that's all you're offering. Now, in the first show, we said you can be a partner to spirit, manifesting in the universe, causal, a cause in the natural law of cause and effect. You can actively, consciously be that. Or you can forfeit that position and just take what you get, being at the effect of other people being causal on your life. Black people, that's not what we here doing. That's not what we here for. But we can still choose that because we have free will. I'm asserting that we can do better.
I'm asserting that we're gonna do better. That's why we're here. Is we want to inspire Black people to look at themselves and realize what power really is in their lifestyle across the board, not particularly just being powerful and changing everything. And because you have to be ready. Yeah, you have. There goes some like, give me the light. You have to be ready for this power because you said there's a cost. Power ain't free,
and look, and the cost is serious. We didn't. Let me just say because we didn't get into. We got into what it's like for you, right? The personal experience. Okay, let me just say give a second to. It's going to reposition everybody in your life. Okay, being in your power is going to reposition every single person in your life, because if you're not in your power, this is what you know for sure. No one's in their right place with you because you're not in the right place in your own life. And everybody's going to have to adjust when you're sitting in your right seat. Like musical.
Some people got to go. You're going to get rid. Listen, some people can't go.
Some people can't stay. Some people got to go.
Yep.
Some people that's right next to you, that ain't their seat. They're in your seat. You supposed to be there. So if you change seats, they may not like that seat. So they may leave. I'm just saying that you being in your power is a new position if you're not used to being in it. And you being in a new position in your life reorients everyone. Some people, and I tell people that so that they are emotionally prepared for all of the shifts and changes in their relationship without crying out into the darkness and making this practice wrong, like somebody punishing them and taking their life away.
Yes, because they're so used to what they've been going through that when you lose or you lose people, then you saying that this practice is beating me up. But really, you need to be in power, and they got to go, and that stuff gotta go. We ain't ready for that, Ia. You better get ready. Listen, I'm telling you, the mantra for
I have a very small house. It's not a big one. People have come. People have come. I've been doing this work for a long time. Many people have come and many people have gone. And I have never made them wrong. I say, look, I understand. Let me tell you that stay to get what you can. Get everything you need from me before you leave. Because you may not want to, you may not want to go the whole way. You stay as long as you can. But if you are for real, and you ask yourself this question along the process, if you really about being free, living in your power, actualizing your true destiny and your highest calling, you want to be here. I got you. But what you're going to find out is that you may not want to be in power like that. You may not want to be quite that free. You may want to have some areas where you feel empowered, and then some areas where you use language like, I'm just compromising.
Yeah. Because not everybody's going to be able to get rid of everything.
And I'm not suggesting that they do. I'm not encouraging them to do that. Okay. I'm saying, if you're going to keep your choices, you need to change your mind. You need to change your language about it internally and externally. Then you can be in your power. What if you're not in your power around the choices that you're making? Your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, the way you're... Look, I knew a woman. Let me just be real. I'm gonna give you an example of how real I am about being in your power. How people can either choose or not choose.
Examples, y'all. Down low.
I knew a woman that had several children, right? And she was constantly complaining about her children. I don't got no help. Blah 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 blah. Right.
Right.
So I said, you're acting like you don't have a choice. She said, well, I don't have a choice. I got all these children, and I gotta do this. I gotta. Oh, everything was about I said, oh, let me just make something real clear to you. Yeah. There are a lot of people who decide that they can't be parents, and they drop their children off at foster care. They give them up for adoption. They give over their legal rights as parents because they can't do it anymore. I said, don't act like you ain't got no choices. Pack up your children and drop them off if you just that tired. You can't do it. Because motherhood is not a joke. It is a station that you can get tired, but you can't. All of that tired you talking sounds like you don't want them. And I'm telling you that you have choices. You ain't got to keep them. Now, that's whole sacrilege to a Black mother. But guess what she stopped doing?
We don't give up our kids. Yeah.
But guess what she got? Well, that's what she needed to stop doing. She needed to give up complaining about having the blessing of those children. Yeah. Because the ancestors of those children and the children's father she had them with was looking at her like, what are we doing here?
See, it's just that deep. Because what we see in front of us has lineage.
Exactly.
And that's what we're not seeing, because we've been taught that once you die, it's final. So these children that then came back again, because we don't believe none of that. You come through once, because everybody say, I even say, you only get one life. I'm the number one of that. Listen, you better live this thing to the max. Some people live recklessly under that banner. Like, I'm going to do everything, be everything, because you only get one chance at this. But if you look at real spirituality, that there's other realms to this thing.
Well, I wouldn't say that you're completely wrong. You have one spiritual continuum, right? One spirit.
What you mean in the body?
But the body has many incarnations inside of that one spirit life, that life and spirit that you have. You will do this several times and several iterations until you learn all the lessons you got. You can live as many lives as you need to take to learn the lessons you want to take. I ain't trying to take that many more. I've been a couple already. I want to learn whatever lesson I need to learn. Hit me, because I ain't trying to come back here
down low, folk. Down low. Because see, they're like, what? I'm coming again. I'm doing this thing again. Listen,
and when your ancestors are returning and you acting like they're a problem, a burden.
Because those kids might be your ancestors.
And according to this tradition and many others, that's exactly who they are. So it's okay for you to be tired. I'm a mother. I've been there. But what I also know is when I started talking to my ancestors about my children, one of the first things that they told me, because I invited them to help me raise my children and support me, they said, you got to change your attitude. You got to change your mind. You keep complaining about this son. This person is here, an elder in your bloodline to come and assist you in this life. I was like, okay, let me
get it together.
Let me recalibrate and get it together. So we're taught to complain. We are taught to view adversity as a problem, a challenge, not an opportunity for spiritual strength training. Not an opportunity to exercise our power and gain some new skills. People come into our life to challenge us, to show us that we have power we didn't even have. Because before they came, we didn't even need all that before they got there. So you should be thanking the Most High for every adverse thing that has made you a better you. If something adverse happened and it didn't make you it a better you at the time, take some time and revisit it and ask the universe, what did I miss? Ask, because Spirit's going to tell you.
You said adversity is not a problem. It's what? Spiritual what?
Spiritual strength training.
Like, whoa.
And I'm not saying you're going to be happy in love with all the things that have happened to you in your life, right? We've dealt with traumas and all that. I'm saying that if you've had a situation where you weren't like, yes, I'm for it. It's an opportunity, not an adversity. People have dealing with some real stuff out here. I'm saying that when you get past the situation and you did not see what lesson had come from that, I'm telling you that it's a moment that you need to take with yourself and your spiritual self and ask Spirit, what did I miss? Because you don't want to make it so that every adverse thing that happened to you in your life, you got a bad taste in your mouth about it. I'm going to use a small example. I heard a beautiful example of this today when a child, 10 years old, was praying and thanking God for cancer. Did you all hear me? 10 years old, making prayers and thanking God for cancer. And her mother was like, what? Why, baby? Why did you thank God for cancer? She said, because there is so much love in our family. Because of all of us coming together for me having cancer. We have so much love for each other. We do so much. We spend so much time together. Now, 10 years old. So I would say this family was in the struggle before she came along. And you know what they had to do? They had to tighten up and get it together because there was nothing else that they could do once they had this child with all these medical problems. And the child spoke to it. So was the child confused?
Down low. That is something that some of us, because I always say, why do children have cancer? And why do we see these anomalies with something so beautiful come in the world with cancer? That happens out here. But that child just said something like,
that child is ahead of the game. That child came here with a mission to
the mission things. Is to be a fixer.
This spirit came in the body in this family one more time to fix the mess and the madness, to bring that family together, because apparently there wasn't enough love according to that ancestor. She's like, I got to get there and toss up something so that they can start appreciating life.
Adversity is not a problem, y'all. It is spiritual strength.
Now, wasn't that traumatic? Wasn't that difficult? Wasn't that a problem? Nobody else in the family had cancer but her, and she's the one thanking God for it. So where y'all at? That straightened me up right then. I was like,
right now things is happening over here.
She straightened me out. She straightened me out.
I love what we're talking about. It's my goodness.
But she had a spiritual countenance that
she had a clearly. She was creating a path to love.
Her spiritual countenance was beyond the average 10-year-old.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, but she is now encouraging all of the people in that family to dip into the spiritual power that she brought to the family and change their mind about her.
Yes.
Because they didn't have it. Change your mind about me, the one that's in pain, the one that's losing her hair, the one that's in the hospital. She was the one suffering, and she's the one thanking God for it. So she came with a mission. So I'm telling you, Black people, you got to make some different decisions about the things that have happened in your life. I heard it said that things are either a problem, a challenge, or an opportunity. When you're in your power, that's how you start to see the world. You start to engage with spirit as your primary resource because you're a spiritual being and you need to draw from that power. And once you do that, everything that would otherwise be a problem or a challenge becomes an opportunity for you to exercise that power and be a model for others to follow. Ashe Egun.
Let me tell you something. That's the jewel right there, guys. That we've been here. Oh, I can't believe we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. This has been.
That's my closing words. Those are my closing words.
Yeah, things are either a problem, a challenge, or opportunity. I promise you that that's something that we need to think about. Listen, guys, this is really coming from the heart. Is that we don't come here lightly. We come here to be almost like that child, to bring you something that's going to free you. Because listen, Ia is on a different level, guys. We talk about me, the download species over here. I'm downloading too. I'm over here growing. I'm over here admiring and being inspired because I'm in a place that I have to do some work. Me and Ia have talked about it because I cannot push my people to do the work if I don't want to do the work. That's hypocritical, and we're not going to do that. We're going to do the work. And so part of me coming to her and saying, listen, I want to be free in 23, and I set my life up wrong, and I got to do a reset. And that's me looking at how unempowered I am. Not powerful, but unempowered. And I can see it, I can feel it, and I got to do something about it.
Ashe.
I challenge you guys to do something about it.
And include spirit, because that's how you're going to be able to maintain.
We have to include spirit because we need these resources that we're walking away from, that has told us it is our God-given right to be able to access these spiritual resources. And we are not utilizing them. We're too busy playing with that three-letter word called ego. He got us locked. Real talk, all of us.
We're paying the cost for it.
And we're paying the cost for it.
In every area of our life.
And look at our children. We're talking about why they're so violent. Because they're powerless. You know why? Because you're powerless. And you're leading by example. And if you give your power away, they don't even understand the power that they have because they can't see a blueprint. They are not looking at anything that makes them powerful.
You have to establish that.
We have to establish that. And you cannot wait for the government. You cannot wait for outside entities. It starts with you.
Yes.
If you
have to stop blaming everything outside.
We got to stop blaming and waiting. We got to be the change we want to see.
Ashe.
And that's just what it is. So we're coming here. This is a 3-part series we've done for every Tuesday because we want Black people to heal. And this is our time, but this is a love offering. Ia gets paid for this love. That's the truth. People come to her for this. She's giving free game out. And I'm so blessed that, and I'm gonna say Spirit has allowed me to start something like this where I can give her the space to lay these jewel downs for us. This ain't for nobody, it's for us. I'm real talking about, I don't play with Black people. Everybody know that. I do not play with Africans. That's all I love. And that's what I deal with because that's what I am. And we got to love ourselves and be unapologetic about it. It's not that we hate white people or we hate Spanish people. It's not about them.
We're talking about us right now.
It's about you.
No one else is a part of the conversation. We're talking about us.
Thank you. No one's present. It is nothing wrong with looking at self, building community, and building your family. There's nothing wrong with that. And building your relationship to the ancestors. We need them. When a woman's pregnant in a family, she's bringing forth ancestors.
Yes.
And people say, well, you lose one and you gain one. I wonder why.
We know
somebody died in somebody's birth. Huh?
We know it, but sometimes we don't want to put it to words.
I hear it all the time. Somebody died, but she had a baby in somebody's birth.
And they'll be looking at that baby to see any signs of granddaddy or grandma.
They always say that child been here before. How many times you hear people say that?
But if you say, do you believe in reincarnation? We don't do that.
And they say, that's an old man. Oh, it is?
How?
It isn't now. How can it be? It's an infant. But we have to look at all of these signs in front of us Stop negating what they mean. Bring this together. Get and do real work. Stop investing in your outside and all of this shit and stuff, and invest in building the inside.
Ashe.
Do some introspective work. Work on you. Control the ego. Yo, control her, him, whoever she is. Shim. I don't give a damn. Control her. Because it's a problem. So listen, guys. I can't keep you any longer, but I just want to say that this has been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure to have this time and space to speak about something that's going to put us in a greater space. Because the space we in ain't where we should be. No. We got brighter spaces to be in. Like Ia said, somebody around you might be in your space. They gotta go. They gotta go. You get in your space.
When you start using language that sounds like what's happening in your life is because something, you're not in your power. You should be the subject of your sentences, not I can't cause they, cause them, cause that.
Cause my daddy or my mom. No.
You need to reconfigure your life so that you are the center of the story. When there's a mistake or something you don't like, you can say, you know what? I made a choice that got me here. I'm going to make a different choice because I don't like these results. Not, it didn't work because they. How they get in your life? Roll it back a little bit. They did that, but you had them in here. You already know how they go. So how to get here? Take ownership of all of the choices that you make, even if it's a mistake. Just say, you know what? My bad. I thought that I could give you the benefit of the doubt, but now what I'm going to do is give you the benefit of the truth, what I already know about you. I'm not going to pretend that I don't know what I see and I observe. I'm going to act in accordance with that wisdom and ask for Spirit's guidance and protection and encouragement to maintain my position of power instead of forfeiting when I get weak and tired and lonely and broke.
Listen, we're going to start again, and we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Listen, guys, I just want to say one thing. I went down south, and I went to a lecture in Charleston, South Carolina. That's where my mom lives. Because y'all know I go to the Chuck on a regular. Went down there, went to a lecture, and I went to see Professor James Small. I don't know if you know him or are you familiar with him. Very heavy black man. Been in this Pan-Africanism forever. He's been a Yoruba priest, all of this.
Oh, beautiful.
He said to me, out of the audience, I'm sitting in the front taping, getting footage. He said to me, who is the most powerful ancestor that you have? I said, my grandmother. He said, no, you are the iteration of your ancestor. You are the greatest thing, anything of your ancestor. That blew my mind. Like, we don't understand that us, who we are, is the greatest thought, the greatest iteration, the greatest piece of who our ancestor was.
Ashe. You're their dream come true.
You're their dream come true.
A new chance. An elevation for you is an elevation for all of them.
For all of them. And imagine if you do some work and really elevate. Your whole lineage would come up.
I know that to be a fact.
That's facts right there. Your whole lineage. And I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you guys, that I'm going to be totally transparent in this movement, because when I do the work, we're going to share it.
Ashe, good.
Because I want you to see that I'm just me. Ain't nothing perfect over here. Nothing. Got a lot of work to do. But
perfection not required. Just commitment. We're
going to work
not
on
perfection.
It. Not perfection. So I want to say in closing, this has been Healing August. Let's heal, Black people.
Ashe.
Let's heal. Power to the people.
Ashe.
We box up and out. Let's get them deuces. Good night, Black Boxers. Peace. Don't go nowhere, Ia.
Okay.